So welcome back to the Offstage podcast. How are you today, Vanessa?
Hot.
You're drinking coffee today.
I'm always drinking coffee.
Why are you drinking coffee in 30-something degree weather?
That's like asking me why I'm breathing.
Because I need coffee.
I need coffee. I don't care how hot it is. And it's very hot.
It is incredibly hot today.
What the hell was that?
I don't know. I want to close the window so you can't hear
Please
stuff from outside. But I also will die if I do. So you're going to have to bear with us for this episode. And the noise and all that kind of stuff. So
it's okay. It's ambiance.
Yeah, it's ambiance. We're outside. It's summertime. We're melting. So yeah, it's really hot in Toronto this last couple of days. Like feels like 40 degrees, kind of cold. So we're gonna be powering through that today. However, we do have some stuff that we want to talk about, some housekeeping, and also then we'll transition to today's topic. First of all, I want to let you know that this is our second to last episode of the Offstage podcast for this season. So we decided that we're going to have a huge blowout Q&A episode after this one.
Huge.
It's going to be huge. So make sure to submit all your questions on social media. We're going to be basically picking questions out of everything that's submitted and kind of talking about them, develop them. It might be a short, simple answer. It might turn into a 20-minute discussion. Who knows? So that's kind of what we wanted to do to wrap up season 1 of the show. Then we're going to be taking a break. We're going to be working on some personal projects. I have Stranded Fest stuff going on. Vanessa is always busy traveling around and working with artists. So we're going to kind of put a pin on it and then also work really hard to, make the show even better when we're back for season 2, which we're pretty excited about. We already have ideas for season 2. So once that comes around, it'll be super, super fun. So yeah, be on the lookout for that. Yeah, yes.
Sorry, I keep nodding, thinking that everyone can see me nodding in agreement.
I agree with what he's saying.
It's too hot, I can't think straight. Yeah, I'm nodding. Whenever I'm quiet, I'm just nodding or dead.
Yeah. Beyond that, I want to, you know what? I want to wish everyone a happy Canada Day. It just happened. Happy Canada Day.
Happy Canada Day.
I think Canada is pretty cool. There's a lot of really good music in Canada. So if you haven't checked out Canadian artists, you're sleeping on them. Hit us up on social media. We're always talking about artists. We have a few of them also already featured on our podcast, Canadian artists. So, check that out. Just wanted to plug Canada for a bit. All right. So before we get into it, what are we talking about today, Vanessa? What's today's topic?
How to not be boring as shit on stage.
Yes. So we're going to be talking about shows in general.
Yeah.
So we talked a lot about touring, but touring is kind of the whole point of touring is that you're going to hopefully be playing very, very entertaining and sick shows. Right? And that when people see you, they're going to love you and say like, wow, they killed it. They were great. So we're going to be talking about that, show production, rehearsing, how to do all that kind of stuff. Anything that I'm missing before we transition? Before the cool, funky music starts fading in?
No, I think we're good.
Okay.
You know what you are missing, though?
What?
Fucking air conditioning.
All right, let's get right into it. So we're back, and I've noticed that you, Vanessa, sometimes pick our topics out of frustration. And I was wondering. Yeah.
Always.
I noticed a pattern. So I wanted to ask you, do you feel frustrated when a band puts on a boring show? What makes a boring show?
Well, put it this way. If I want to listen to an album, I'll go listen to a fucking album. When I go to a show, I'm there to see a performance, not to see musicians standing on stage playing their instruments. And some people might disagree with me. Some people, especially musicians in general, they like to watch and pick apart, techniques and things like that. But I think the majority of fans would say that they go to shows to see performances.
Yep.
And there's so much more that you can do on stage with your music that you can't do in the studio. So why not take advantage of that and make it really memorable?
Yeah. And it really depends, like you said, like, you might see these performances on YouTube where, like, I don't know, Green Day is like playing in a tiny venue and barely moving and doing nothing, but people are going nuts over it. Yeah, that's because they're Green Day.
Sorry, excuse me. That's never happened. That's never happened. You picked the worst example ever.
Well, Longshot. What's his name? Longshot. The Longshot. The group that he has now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he does that.
Bullshit. You didn't.
I saw some YouTube videos.
Oh my god.
Anyway.
Oh my god.
But like they can do that because they're freaking Green Day. He's like Billy Joe.
The reason
and,
why
like,
I love Green Day so
crazy.
much is because they're amazing fucking performers. Billy Joe is an animal. That guy never stops moving.
And that's what I'm saying. Like you're not, most likely, if you are in the beginning of your career, you're not at that level. You're just standing up on a stage and you know, just playing your songs as is. It's never gonna do it.
Even still, if you're super famous and you have really good music, yeah, people are going to go and pay for the ticket to see you, but you're still doing a disservice if you're just going to stand there and play your instruments like you hate your life. Offspring. It's true.
Let it out, girl. Let it out. I've never seen The Offspring live, so I have no idea.
Well, I didn't see them in their heyday because I was 9,
Yeah.
but they're fucking terrible live.
Nowadays?
Terrible. They
Yeah?
just stand there. I
They
gave
just stand there
them
and
3
play.
chances, and they sucked all 3 times.
And that's because...
They don't fucking do anything.
Right. They don't make it entertaining, right?
Yeah, they can't even play in the actual key of the songs anymore.
Ooh,
So they're
they
just
have to
milking
lower
it.
them so they can
Milking
actually
it.
sing.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Anyway, and you know, you might be thinking, oh well, what am I gonna do? Like have pyrotechnics on stage and stuff like that? Like you don't have to go
No.
crazy or go expensive or go anything like that. It's mostly about the way you carry yourself on stage or like the interesting. You might be doing interesting stuff on stage that kind of fits your whole kind of band aesthetic or like the whole what the band represents. You know, I'm personally think that if your band is like only music, you maybe are not pushing the envelope as far as you could. Usually your band also has a concept or it has kind of like a vibe or like, for example, I'm gonna use Cleopatra as an example. They have the whole thing with like the TVs with the static and the whole fuck what you think rock is, and like they have like a thing that goes beyond just the MP3 files and just the music, right?
Thank you.
And exactly, that's called branding, kids. And like, you should strive to have some pizzazz to your performance. If you're just a bunch of people on stage playing their instruments, okay, that might be really good. But sometimes you want to push the envelope even further to make yourself kind of unforgettable in a way, very memorable.
Mm-hmm. And you don't have to do crazy backflips or have pyrotechnics to do that.
Exactly.
That's the thing. It's like, it's even worse. The only thing worse than going, into a regular bar with no props, standing on stage and being boring, is to go and put a whole bunch of crazy shit and then stand there and be boring. Because now you're creating this contrast of all this crazy shit that gets boring to look at after a while. Like people, we live in an age where you can't really shock anyone anymore unless you're doing things that are really natural and really real.
Yeah.
So you can go and put up some crazy props, like I'm all for it, but if you do it just for the sake of doing it and you cop out and you still stand there and play your instrument, I'm still going to get bored. And I've actually seen a band like this who went all out and just looked like they dressed in ridiculous outfits and had ridiculous props on stage, but they weren't selling it, right? And that's where I think that's the key point right there. They weren't selling it. It looked awkward. I hated it. It wasn't keeping me intrigued. It actually made me feel just as awkward as they were.
Right.
So
it felt forced.
It felt really forced, but not even forced in a way where they were trying to like overplay. It was really sad. Like they were trying to hide behind the costumes and the props, which doesn't work. So when you take it back to selling it, this is where you have to start, is listen to the music you've written and connect with it, perform it. And I was even doing this with a singer-songwriter recently where, there are some lyrics in some of her songs that are so fucking beautiful and emotional, but you can tell when she's not actually listening to the words that she's singing and is just focusing on performing or is just kind of off in her own world. But when she actually connected with those words and made eye contact at the right times or closed her eyes and showed the emotion of the lyrics, that's when I started to listen and I would get fucking goosebumps watching it.
And sometimes it's just
Little
as simple.
Things.
Yeah.
Connect with it.
Sometimes
Sell
it's just as simple as like, saying a sad lyric and then just looking down like sadly, like even if you're an acoustic act or something like that. It's like, performing. You're performing, right?
Yeah.
You're putting on a show. And like there's so many things that you could do. One example that just comes up to my head, like in my band Backthrow, something that we did during the era of our first EP because on our first EP, the cover was me and the lead singer Zach with like little party hats on. So before every show, we would go to Dollarama and buy like party hats and like poppers and like just like a 5th graders kind of birthday party kind of stuff. And then everyone at the show, we just give it out for free at the merch table, and everyone at the show was wearing like little like party hats and like poppers and silly string and whatever, and it was a lot of fun, and we would wear that on stage too, or it was people loved it. It was like, oh, these guys like brought a whole party into the venue.
Yeah,
like
which
a whole,
is perfect because it totally matches your sound, your style, and your personalities.
Yeah, because we're all goofy and dorky, and it's like fun poppy music, right?
Yeah.
So it was like the perfect thing, and it's, you know, and dig into your songs. Songs have potential to be more than just a performance, and that's it. Another example, we have a song called Alcohol, which is obviously about drinking. So we do in the breakdown, we obviously break down the song, and then we would find a friend of mine or ours, or even we would like figure something out with the bartender or whatever, so that we would get like a shot of tequila like in the middle of the song. So we do like, oh, Martin's gonna do a shot, and it was a whole thing of the song. We'll just like playing the bridge of the song, right?
Yeah.
And just do a shot on stage because the song is called Alcohol, obviously, right? And it's like, just like that, there's probably like so many opportunities with song of yours that you can turn it into like a little thing, even if you're just making people clap, like whatever, right? If your song has a really good beat that you can, like, you know, you've played it live and you notice that it's always like 1 or 2 guys that start clapping, then that's a sign that, you know, oh, this part is like, it resonates with people. Then we should totally make it so that everybody claps, right?
Exactly.
And just like try to make it more than just about music. And also, you know, there's like a million things that we can talk about, a million of ideas. But I guess there's 3 elements of it, and let's kind of go through them a bit. One is like the performance itself, like what you are doing as a musician. Then number 2 is props. I think having props into consideration is not a bad thing. You should consider having props. And then I guess 3 is like communicating with the crowd, like audience participation in a sense.
Absolutely.
And how you're handling the crowd.
Absolutely.
So what are your thoughts on, I don't know if you want to go one by one, or can I just tackle everything at the same time?
Well, I think first of all, you know, starting at the very, very beginning is looking at your set list. One thing that drives me crazy, which is where all this comes from, frustration, is when I see bands get to a venue and they're just about to go on stage, and then they sit there and they start writing their set list.
Yeah.
And they haven't planned it otherwise. They just smush a bunch of songs together, and they don't realize that it actually makes a difference how you rearrange your songs. And it's happened so clearly. I think the most clear example was when, with a particular band, listening to, like, their songs are so killer, but then the way they arranged their set list, I was fucking bored to tears because they were arranging the songs in a way where the tempo wasn't really changing. So all I had to do was rearrange the set list for them, the exact same songs, and it made a huge difference in how entertaining the actual set really is. So the basic rule for that, and, you know, every artist has a different style of music, like maybe all of your songs are slow or all of them are a certain way, so you're gonna have to kind of look at it and think about it yourself, but you have to think about the transitions. First, you always want to open up with a song that's going to have...
Let's take a quick second here. No, it's fine. We're gonna take a quick break of 2 seconds. All right, and we're back.
That was so cute.
My girlfriend had to leave the apartment, so we kind of took a break for that.
I'm dying. Oh my god,
She's
that was
super cute.
adorable.
Okay, Mom.
I'm sorry. I'm sucking up.
She's making fun of the fact that I'm lovey-dovey.
Fun of it. I love it. It's adorable. Oh my god.
Can't be lovey-dovey. It's 2018. Come on.
We have to get Agnes on this show one day. She's so fucking. You guys are so adorable. It
Oh my gosh.
drives me nuts.
Oh my gosh.
Anyways.
Anyway, you were saying.
What was I saying? Okay, the set list. Always start off with a bang. Start off with one of your best songs. Usually your second best song, because you typically want to save your best for last. Sometimes you can start with your best song. If no one knows who you are and you want to get people's attention to make them stand and wait for more, you start with your best song. But you want to start, if you look at it like a line, you want to start high, then you want to amp it up a little bit higher, and then when you're about your third or fourth song, that's when you can kind of slow it down a little bit.
Play the ballad.
You can play the ballad. Usually you want to wait until like you're 2/3 of the way through your set to play a ballad, and then you want to pick it back up. You want it to go back up on a trajectory and then end off with a fucking bang.
Because remember, the ballad is when people are going to go to the bar and get another drink, a second drink, right? So like, you want to be able to keep it going. Especially like I've seen like up and coming bands that have like 2 or 3 piece out, and then they are like, we're like 4 songs into the live show, and now we're gonna play you our 3 ballads in a row. And it's like, don't do that. If you're a rock band that happens to have 1 ballad on every album or release, pick 1 ballad per show. Don't be boring your audience out, right? Unless one of them is a huge hit, you're okay with only playing 1. And be very aware, like you said, of the energy of the show. Start high, start punchy, and close with like whatever your biggest hit is. Or, personal advice, end with a cover. End with a sick, if you don't have a hit, end with a sick cover that everyone knows, everyone will sing along to. You saw me do that when I played As a Dog Named Bob. Finished it up with Weezer, playing El Scorcho. Everyone sang along, everybody loved it. You end on a high note. Right?
Exactly.
Because not everybody there knew the songs that I was playing. They were like brand new at the time anyway.
Exactly.
Right? So it's like, be smart about how you're starting off and finishing off the show. Don't be afraid if you're a local band that doesn't have much people out there. Don't be afraid to sneak 1 or 2 covers. And just keep in mind of like, take yourself out from the musician standpoint and think, I'm just a guy having a beer, checking out the band. What do I want to see? What makes sense, right?
Exactly. So 1, always look at your set list and try to arrange it smartly. And we could even I'd be happy to look at anybody's set list, listen to the music, and be able to rearrange it. I've done this several times, and it really, honestly, it makes a huge difference in how long a set feels. Like, you want people to watch your set and to feel like it was only 15 minutes long. And sometimes all you need to do is rearrange the order of the songs that you're playing to make that happen. And it's awesome. The other thing is, like you already mentioned closing with a cover, which is a great idea because people will remember it. I'm a huge proponent of playing covers when you're a nobody band. I know a lot of people tend to argue and complain. Fine, do your thing. But at the end of the day, if you don't have songs that are super catchy and super memorable, even if you do have catchy songs, people might not latch on to them the first time, but they'll always remember a cover. So they'll always remember you, at least to begin with, as the band that played that song, and they'll remember you for that. They'll have, it's almost like they'll psychologically attach a pleasant emotion to your band because they liked the cover that you played.
Especially if you can do something really fun and out of left field. My band Backthrow, is for the last 2 years almost, we've been wrapping up our shows playing a punk rock cover of Taylor Swift's Shake It Off.
Love it.
Because everybody knows that song. That no matter how punk you are, you know that song. It's fun and it's catchy, and we don't take it seriously. So last time we played it, I think we were playing at the Bovine Sex Club, which is one of Toronto's most well-known punk venues. And so we said, since we're playing at a punk venue, we wanted to play a song by a really punk artist. This artist influenced all our punk writing and all this kind of stuff. And then we start playing Taylor Swift. And of course, everyone starts laughing. And people were super into it. And we got super props. And that's what we closed the show with, playing Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
So, it's just really important that if you're going to do a cover, yes, do a cover. That's fun and that's going to be cool. But if you can take it that extra notch and do something interesting with it, that's even better. Because then you're oh, not only did they play this song, they did this really cool version where they did something extra. They did something amazing about the song. Maybe you're doing an acoustic, super soul flow version of Despacito or some song that's on the radio right now, right?
I hate that song just like the majority of the sane population. But the other day, or a couple weeks ago now, I was on the TTC and some guy came on with a freaking accordion and started playing Despacito, and I loved it. I was like, this is awesome. This is great.
Yeah, exactly. And if you can do memorable stuff like that, that's awesome. So you're preaching to the choir, sister. If you can do covers, do covers. Of course, don't do all covers. That's kind of cheesy. But yeah, 1 or 2 covers, one in the middle, one at the end. I honestly, I'm a full supporter of that.
One thing that I remember from years ago, and I've been to like probably in the last 10 years, I've probably been to thousands of shows at this point, or at least over 1,000. And one band I've only, except for a band that I worked with a couple years ago, only one band that I've ever seen live that did this, mashups.
Oh,
where
yeah.
they take several different songs, mash them together. So what ended up happening is a band that I worked with last year and the year before, they were a pop punk band, and they loved Blink, they loved Green Day, they had a lot of influences from them,
and
so
they
they
use the
knew
same
all of
chord progressions anyway.
exactly,
so.
and they knew their catalogs really well. So then one day there was just kind of like a joking discussion of how many Blink and Green Day songs have the exact same chord progression, and then it came up. It's like, let's do a mashup. So they ended up having a Blink Green Day mashup of 3 Green Day, 3 Blink songs. They played about 30 seconds of each song, so it was like, a good 5 or 6 minutes long. But it was fucking awesome. And even the way they arranged the songs, where like they started off with, I think they started off with Basket Case and ended with Feeling This?
Probably. I think those two are in the same chord progression.
Yeah.
I did something similar with my band where we mixed Feeling This, actually, that same song with... I forget the name. The one by Third Eye Blind. That's I Want Something Else.
Oh,
that one. So we mixed those two, and it was so good. It was super sick.
Yeah, see, that kind of stuff is a lot of fun. So if you're a band that's about having a lot of fun, do it. Just do it.
Yeah.
And then you can go on the other end of, this is something that I talk about with singer-songwriters that I've seen done really effectively, is that if you're a singer-songwriter and you're up there by yourself and you're writing songs that have great stories behind them, or even if they don't, instead of being like this big huge showman, well, depending on what you are, it doesn't really matter, but it's really worked with the 2 artists that I've worked with, is to tell the stories in between.
Yeah.
And make sure that what you're saying is interesting and meaningful and real. Like, it doesn't even need to be so unique and original. I think this is where people get lost. And we've talked about this before, is you don't have to sit there and think about like what someone never said. It's not about what's so crazy, unique, and different. It's about what's really true. So if
actually, all the contrary, it should be relatable.
It can be relatable or not. It doesn't even matter if it's relatable. Is it true?
Yeah.
Like if it's something that's super, super true of you, like if you're a really, really goofy person that comes up with some zany ass shit that no one can relate to, express that. You're going to entertain people that way. But if you're a singer-songwriter who wrote a song about someone who completely crushed your heart, you can express it as, you're not even like, oh, I wrote this song about someone who broke my heart. It's like, no, convince me.
Yeah.
Convince me that somebody absolutely fucking destroyed your soul.
Exactly.
Say that. Use those words. And I'm going to believe it. And I'm going to listen to the lyrics. And I'm going to find a way to relate
Instead
to
of being
it.
like, this is a song about someone who broke my heart. It's like, this is a song about someone that after they broke up with me, I didn't leave the house for 6 months or something. It's like, wow, that's like super real, right?
Yeah.
Even if it didn't happen, who cares? But like, you know what I mean? Like, do it. And that's so true. Like, I'm a big fan of, like, I don't know if you know this guy called Adam and his package.
No.
He's a huge inspiration for my solo project. It's a guy that's literally just him and a laptop, and that's the whole show. Okay. And he's like him playing on his guitar, literally like similar to what I do. And he has a song where like the song is 2 minutes long, but he spends 2.5 minutes before the song starts telling the story of the song. But while he's telling the story, the smart thing that he's doing is while he's telling the story, he's teaching you the chorus. So when he starts the song, everybody already knows the chorus, and everyone's singing along.
I love that so much.
Right?
See, it's so smart.
Which is so smart.
Yeah.
So because the whole story of the song is like he was in a tour with some other shitty band playing like a local show, but the band had like a really good one song, and they were being drunk assholes and telling them to play it over and over and over again, and they were. And so they made the local band play the song like 3 or 4 times until they caught on and like whatever. And then they said, well, we like the chorus so much because he played it already like 3 times while telling the story that we stole the chorus. And now that's the chorus of our song. And then he starts the song and everybody knows the chorus at this point, right?
Love
and
it.
it's like, if you can do something so smart like that, like use the story to show teach the people the chorus. And then the people already know the chorus, right? Mm-hmm. Just play with that storytelling aspect, right? Especially if like it's a one-man band.
Definitely.
Absolutely. Why not, right?
Yeah.
If you're touring and you have interesting stories about that city, if you've been there before and you want to tell an interesting story or stuff that you've seen earlier that day, that's always fun. Or you can be cheeky. I saw Straight Light Manifesto play in Toronto, and they when they came on stage, they were like, "Hello, Seattle!" And it was like, "What the fuck?" And then he goes like, "I see the Space Needle. You can't fool me." Like be cheeky about it, right? If you can be do that kind of stuff, it's really fun.
Well, exactly. It's like, go with your personality. If you're not a funny person and if you're shy and you're reserved, fucking own it. Just own the fact that you're shy and reserved. Tell people, like, I'm super shy and you're going to find how quickly people are going to relate to that. They're going to love you for it.
And awkwardness is totally endearing.
It's super endearing.
Yeah.
Super, super endearing. Like, again, I knew an artist who would hide behind that. And I outright said it. It's just like, no, embrace it. Totally embrace how awkward you are. Like, don't feel stupid for making that awkward comment, because I loved it. Yeah. It was adorable because I know you and I know that was so you. Embrace the awkwardness. Be okay with the fact that you are the way you are, and watch what happens. And since it's grown and it's growing even more, and it's amazing to watch. It adds personality.
Yeah, be awkward, be like deadpan, like
exactly. And I know that there are artists and musicians out there who are just like, I just want to get on stage and play music, and you just want the music to speak for itself. Fine. Go ahead, do that.
But it's not 1965 anymore.
But it's the same.
Fucking no. You know what? No. No, it's not 1960.
You're clipping. Look, you're clipping. Martin's
it's not
so mad he's clipping.
1965 anymore. Music is not just I get on stage, I play, and all the ladies love me. No. Like, people have been pushing the envelope of what music is for so many decades that just being like, I'm just gonna play live and everyone's gonna love me. It's so minimalistic. It's so like 1% of the shit that you could give for your art.
It's
Give
true.
more of a shit.
I'm not disagreeing with you, and I love that you finally got so mad you clipped. It was great, and I didn't even cause it. But still, it's like there's always going to be like people giving you all the exceptions. It's the exact same conversation we had in our very first episode. It's that if you just want the music to go and speak for itself and not do anything on social media, fine. But why would you miss out on an opportunity to engage people even further and to make them fall in love with you as an artist?
Yeah.
That's when you would start looking at, well, what else can I do beyond my music that's actually going to engage? And the thing is, too, is that, correct me if I'm wrong, musicians write music and hope that people will connect to it.
Yeah.
So when you're performing it, this is your opportunity to show how connected you are to your own music. If you're not showing that and you're not connecting to your own music and selling it, why would you expect anybody else to?
Exactly. I think like I think like as a musician, I can tell you like 99% of us make music because we want other people to listen to it. Mm-hmm. We want people to listen to it and enjoy it and find something special in it. Mm-hmm. And if you're making all this music and you're not making any efforts to have people listen to it, you're kind of wasting your time. Yes, it might be your emotional output and all that kind of stuff, but it's not reaching the potential it could potentially have.
Yeah, which is fine, and you shouldn't be listening to this podcast. But if you are listening to this podcast, it's because you want more.
Yeah,
so
if you're listening to this podcast,
us.
you probably want some actionable advice. So yeah, do that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about props. How do you feel about props on stage?
I don't necessarily think that they're needed. I don't think uniforms or costumes or any types of props are necessary. I don't, I'm not wowed by pyrotechnics or anything like that. But if it's natural for you to incorporate something, then by all means go ahead and do it. That whole static TV thing with Cleopatra happened totally naturally. Like, no one thought long and hard about it. It was actually just props for the secret event that we held, but it looked so fucking cool in the pictures and the videos. Just like, oh, we're gonna keep doing that.
And
like,
it just became
fun.
Now part of all the music videos.
Now it's part of the music videos. It goes to every single show with them, and it's just a thing now. Like, it just became part of it.
Yeah.
There was no overreaching we just wanted to find props to put in the bar for the secret show to make it look like this isn't just another show. Yeah. This is our show. Yeah. This is a party.
I'm a big fan of that kind of stuff as long as it's organic. I'm going to give you a great example.
Super organic, exactly.
I'm going to give you a great example. I'm a big fan of Z-Wave. By the way, they're headlining Strandfest 2018. Get your tickets to strandfest.com. They're covering Weezer. It's going to be sick. So Z-Wave just released a recent album where like a lot of the songs are about like going to the beach and getting away and going on like a trip or like just leaving and going away and traveling. Mm-hmm. So they called the album Vacation. Totally super fitting. And because the album is Vacation, ever since the album came out, when they go on stage, they're wearing like Hawaiian shirts because like they're on a vacation, and it's super organic because then it makes sense because they're dressed like that, but they're singing about going to the beach, about traveling, about like all this kind of stuff, right? So it's very organic. But imagine if they were doing that, but the album sings about, I don't know, how bad capitalism is, like. You know, like it wouldn't.
I would actually find that really funny, to be honest with you.
The disconnect would be pretty kind of. It would be weird. It wouldn't feel as organic, I guess, unless like there's some gimmick about it that you can kind of pull it up.
Right.
But try to connect the things. Like, why is it that way? Why? You know, yes, you're wearing a costume, but is the costume? What does the costume have to do with everything? How does it connect? Oh, it connects because like it's like what you would wear when you're off on a vacation, and we're singing about that. Okay, perfect. It feels more organic, it feels more fun, right? While you might have some bands that try really hard. Like I actually saw another band. I'm not gonna drop any names. That like they did the whole kind of like jacket. They all wearing the same kind of style of jacket. Like they looked like a 1960s rock band, but they were playing like weird alternative indies. So, like it didn't make sense. Like why are you dressing as like 1960 bikers, but you're not playing like rock and roll music or anything like that. Nothing that matches. You're playing, and it just didn't connect, right? It felt forced. It felt weird. So make sure that whatever you're doing with props, I'm a big fan of them. I've used them myself. Just make sure that it kind of makes sense with what you're doing.
Yeah, be deliberate about it. Don't just be like, oh, I'm just going to put this here just because. It's like, I don't know. Like, it's... Maybe you could just, for the sake of, like, making people wonder, why is that there? But that's so superficial.
Right.
It's really superficial. Like, it's not going to have a lasting effect. Like, put some thought into it. Put some thought into how you can express yourself or just do something fun or do something really meaningful to you.
Or how you can bring in more aspects. Another example, I speak with examples. When I did my solo show with a dog named Bob, I brought in a projector, and like, because I know that it's just one guy on stage, and sometimes I might not be like super entertaining, so like I'm playing like funny clips or whatever on a projector while I'm performing. And even then, like, I wrote a song about going to space with Tom DeLonge because that guy is super crazy, the guy from Blink-182. But a lot of people don't know who they are, so they don't know who he is or why he's crazy. So I played like a little clip before the song starts of an interview of him just like talking about aliens and stuff, and I was like, he's fucking crazy. And then you play the song, it's like, oh, now I get it, right? And like, see how you can bring in those things. Like if you can bring a projector that plays like crazy projections behind you that kind of go with the song, you can time it. If you're playing to a metronome track, you can do that. Bringing props, bringing stuff that you can throw from stage, glitter, maybe you're into that if you're doing pop music.
Just make sure it's okay with the venue first.
Yeah,
please.
check with the venue, of course. Always
and
check with the venue
afterwards.
Yeah. Always
have
check with the
manners.
venue. But there's so many things that you can do. You know, the other day for fun, I was looking on Amazon. You can get like one of those guns that shoots fake cash for like $20.
Oh, amazing.
If you're like a rapper or R&B or something like that, you just pull out your cash gun and start like shooting it on people, even if it's fake money.
Yeah.
That'll go over so great. Like people will eat it up. People will love it. Right? Like think about what things you can do to make it more fun. It's at the end of the day, a show is a party. Right? People go there. They're deciding to go there to have a good time. You know,
totally.
Only 2 or 3 guys there are there to expand their musical minds, and it's really like nobody gives a shit. Most people are there to have a good night, enjoy the music, and have fun.
Yeah, definitely.
So make sure you're delivering.
I've seen bands silly stringing each other and people on stage. I've seen bands start Nerf gun fights.
Yeah,
like I love that stuff. Absolutely love. It's so much fun. It's so much fun, and you remember it for sure.
Yeah, especially I think like. Yes, it might come off as gimmicky, but when you're starting out, you need anything.
But if that's who you... Okay, if you're the kind of band that silly strings each other and pranks each other, take that shit on stage. If you're the kind of band that has a whole bunch of Nerf guns and you're constantly getting into Nerf gun fights at practice or when you're hanging out, bring that shit to the stage. But you can tell, like, if you just go and you create that, like, oh, we're going to do something cool. We're going to bring Nerf guns on stage, but you don't actually do... It's going to be obvious. It's the same thing as branding, is don't do something that's not you.
Exactly.
And it doesn't need to be wild, it doesn't need to be crazy. We just both happen to like punk a lot, so we're coming up with a lot of examples that punk bands will do because it's fun and it's goofy and it's really lighthearted, but there's so much more shit that you can do.
It's like when Blink-182 came out with like the flaming sign saying the word fuck on it, everyone was like, of course Blink-182 would do that. Right? Like, do something that when you do it, people who know about you would be like, of course he would do that. That's hilarious. That's funny.
Exactly. And that's the thing. It's like props. This is just a conversation about props. It's absolutely not necessary. It's really not. You know, just like choreography is not necessary. But I've seen bands who have choreographed small parts. Now, this is the thing, actually, if we can segue into this, because we've talked about props for a while, is what are you doing with your body on stage?
Yep.
And this has been misunderstood so many times by so many different acts that I've spoken to, that they think that when I say use your body, that they have to go crazy and go wild. It's like, no, not everybody is the type of person who can jump up and down, who can fucking windmill, who can do all kinds of crazy things, play behind their head. Something. That's fine, but feel the music. Yeah. Feel it. And if you're a super awkward person, own the awkwardness. Yeah. Just own it. Just go with it. Don't actually try to look cool. You know who's really fucking good at that? Ross from the Dirty Nil, the bassist. He's such an awkward guy, sweetest guy in the world. And instead of standing on stage just being super awkward and like living inside himself because he's not as fucking badass and cool as like fucking Luke is, the lead singer, he owns who he is, and he acts really awkward, and he's actually the most active member on that stage, but it's
he
like
embraces it.
He's so lovable. Like, it's just like, no one's like, oh my god, that guy's such a loser, look at him. It's like everyone's like, oh my god, I love Ross, I want to be him.
Yeah,
you know, because he totally embraces the fact that he's awkward. He totally embraces the fact that he's not like super fucking slick and cool. It's perfect. Like, that's a great example of that. But again, you don't have to be jumping up and down, dancing, acting crazy. You don't. Feel the music and let it out. It's like dancing. Dancing as if no one's watching. It doesn't matter if you fucking dance like an idiot or if you have a lot of rhythm. Just do it.
Yeah, and there's like so many things that you can do, like take advantage of like the dead air of like whatever. Like, I've always wanted, this is an idea that I had that I've never actually like, I'll give you a freebie. This is an idea that I've always wanted to do with some of my bands, but I never realized. But like, you know, just play like an MP3 file while the band is getting on stage and getting ready for the first song. I always wanted to play the 20th Century Fox fanfare. You do that while the band's getting on stage. That would be so funny. That would be hilarious.
Oh my god, yeah, I'd love to see that.
And then like da 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 ba ba ba, and then we're like da 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 1 2 3 4 da da da. You know what I mean? It would be great. It would be so funny.
Yeah,
I would think that's hilarious. So if your band can pull it off, do stuff like that. Or, you know, or maybe like if you're in a really one of those like artsy fartsy indie rock bands, stroke like kind of stuff, you know, I don't know, play a clip of like Pulp Fiction or one of those like movies before your band gets on stage, right? And then like, oh shit, that totally matches their aesthetic because they're like badasses and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, anything that you can do to start your set off with a bang helps. Like, anything at all. I mean, it's fine. If you want to start with a really great song that has a really catchy opening riff, that's great. But if you can come up with any way, sometimes it's just like this big build-up trash can intro that you can start with that will make all the difference because it's getting people's attention. It's building suspense. It's not some crazy, wild fucking idea.
You know what's a good example of that? If This Tour Doesn't Kill You, I Will by Pop. Wow, they start their shows like that. After the album came out, they would start the shows like that. And it's just a guitar going, dun, 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 right?
Yeah.
But it builds into this huge track and then goes into like their biggest hit, DVP, right?
Yeah.
And it's sick. It's a huge way to start the show.
Exactly.
I'm a huge proponent of that. And also, I was thinking about something else and completely escaped my mind. But yeah. Full proponent of taking advantage of technology. Anything that you can bring on stage that will make it better. A great example, I had a friend of mine that he worked in like in a workshop with like electricians and all that kind of stuff. So he set up his own strobe lights that work with a pedal, basically.
Oh,
like
really?
He made it with a foot switch, basically.
Yeah.
So when he was playing with his band and the band has like breakdown, so when the breakdowns go on, he turns on the strobe lights with his foot and he's like it looks sick. It looked super sick.
I love that. I was gonna say, if there's any prop that I'm a huge fan of is lighting, because not every venue, most venues especially in Toronto have really shit lighting, or they have static lighting.
Yeah.
And the times that I've seen like the same act, like Cleopatra, for instance, you see them play like 10 shows in a row of the exact same set. The ones that seem to have the most effect on me are the ones that had proper lighting, where they, you know, you had like a lighting tech who was playing along with the band and knew what they were doing. So if you can control, and this is expensive, but if you can get your own lighting rig, or even just like what your friend did, that's a genius idea, to come up with ways to work with the lights, like that makes a huge effect on like the actual emotion being conveyed.
Pretty
in your
likely
set.
that you have someone in the band that's very like hands-on, very like handyman kind of thing, right?
I
That they
don't
can
know, man.
put something together.
I don't know.
I'm just being optimistic here.
I don't know, dude.
But see what talent is in the
Do
band.
you know what musicians are like?
See what other kinds of talent people in the band have. Like, I'm a big fan of that. Like, dig into like what else you and your bandmates can do that to amplify what the band is, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Think about stuff like that. There was one band that I worked with. They unfortunately ended up breaking up before they could go through with this, but their drummer was such an animal and so ridiculous, such a slapstick humor kind of guy, that they were planning and starting to build a cage that would go around his drum kit with a sign that says, "Do not feed the drummer."
Oh my gosh. That's hilarious.
Exactly.
That's so unique. I love that. I love those kind of ideas.
Yeah.
And like you said, sometimes it's as little as, you know, oh, this song has a really good breakdown. Like you're a punk band or a metal band or a trash band. It's like, oh, this song has a sick breakdown. Let's make sure that everyone in their band is shaking their head when the breakdown hits.
Yeah, feel it.
So like, at least it's not just the guitarist going ham and the rest of the band's just standing there playing the groove. It's like, no, everyone go ham, right?
Yeah.
Everyone go crazy because you want to make sure that you're being entertaining like that.
That's what I mean by choreography, is you're not sitting there coming up with dance moves, even though there are some bands who do a really good job at that. Then I think it's hilarious.
Right.
Like they're just so frenetic on stage, then all of a sudden they just bust into some choreography, and it's amazing. I absolutely love it. But in terms of like just choreographing, just aligning yourselves, like looking at every song, where's the highest energy, and just know when to go absolutely apeshit. Know when the lead singer needs to back up and let the lead guitarist take center stage. Things like that. You know,
yeah,
know
guitar solo's coming up. One of my biggest pet peeves, guitar solo comes around, the guitar player comes closer to the amp, and it's like it's playing towards the amp. It's like, no, turn around to the audience, play for them, right?
Exactly. Man,
it's frustrating, and you know, go crazy, make the most of it. You know, another example is like, you know, if there's a track that, you know, has like a slow part with a 3-part, like a slow breakdown with a 3-part harmony, for example, then the 3 singers just next to the same microphone singing at the same time. Fun stuff like that. I'll be like, oh, that was memorable. That was fun, that what they did. And don't be afraid to just do you and do whatever. And you know, and never panic, and then make it fun. One thing, I broke a string once during a show. You were there at the very first Stranded Fest. Okay. We're covering Sum 41. We're playing Fat Lip, and that we're closing up the show. It's the last song of the show.
That song is cursed.
Right? And I literally broke my string while playing the riff at the end. And I said, like, well, there's like 15 seconds left of the song. I'm not going to stand here and panic. I just took off my guitar, threw it on the floor, and jumped into the crowd. And started like crowd surfing and moshing with people. Because at that time, you just make it memorable. Just make it fun. Fuck it. Right? Like, who cares? Try to make it. If you just stand there and it's like, oh, I broke my string, and you freeze, then you're fucked. You make it even worse.
Yeah.
I think that's a good advice. If something goes wrong, take it as an opportunity. Don't freeze and like panic.
Yeah,
because things will go wrong.
Yeah, and you have to get used to that too, because like someone who's really young and really new might freeze and panic. Yeah. I've even seen younger bands that just started playing off time. We'll just stop and start all over again rather than know how to like fall back into that groove.
Right.
I've witnessed musicians do some really crazy shit when all of their gear starts to fall apart on them on stage, and they somehow manage to still play the song until it ends and fix it. Sometimes you absolutely have to stop, but at least have a good sense of humor about it.
Yeah,
you know?
Joke around it. It's like, ha.
Yeah. Years ago, there was one band that I was working with that had, like, right as they were about to start their set, they came across like amplifier problems. So then the bassist and the drummer just started playing like some really cool jazz licks, and they kept changing it up and because they were about 10 minutes delayed trying to fix the amp. and they couldn't fix the amp, and they were fiddling with it and fucking with it, and then finally someone offered, here, take my amp, and it was just this whole long thing. But instead of standing there like watching dead air, like what the hell's going on?
Yeah, I guess that's actually a great idea. Plan for dead air. Plan for like, shit, the microphone went out, the guitar's not working. Plan, and it's like, okay, what do we do if we need to kill time? And then you can make like, oh, the bass player and the drummer are gonna do this, or the guitar player. Maybe we have like, if it's something wrong with the drums, we have an acoustic song that we can play like out of the gate, right?
Exactly. Tell stupid jokes.
Yeah, or something like that. Like one thing that we do is that we know the Mario theme song, so we can play whenever that happens. We can start doing do 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 do, and that's entertaining, right? And we start doing like silly Mario voices, like woohoo, and all that kind of shit when we need to kill time, right? But like be prepared for that, right? Because things will go wrong. Prepare for like something going wrong, someone breaking a string, the drum microphone's not working, or an amp just gives out of nowhere.
Yeah, not even problems too, but transitions between songs. Like if you have to switch instruments or tune your guitar, please for the love of God, turn off the fucking amp if you're tuning your guitar.
Yep.
It's so obvious.
This is an argument that I had for years with Zach from my band. Get a fucking tuning pedal, because every time you need to tune, he will get his clip on and start tuning in the middle of the show, and I'm like, no one wants to listen to that. Get a pedal.
Oh my god, I'm gonna backhand him.
Yeah,
I can't believe he does that.
Now he has one. Now he has one.
Good.
After years of me yelling at him to get a fucking tuning pedal.
Oh my god, it drives me insane. Like I just go cross-eyed every single time I see it happen. But either way,
dun, 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 dun. No one wants to listen to that.
Anyways, when you have dead air, like, please, the only way or the best way to kill your set is to play like a killer song, and then all of a sudden it's just quiet.
Yeah.
And there's just people shuffling around on stage. Like, do something, anything. Take the opportunity to like fucking introduce the band, or talk about like, oh, we have merch on sale, or play just a nice drum beat. Anything at all. I'm like,
maybe your drummer is super sick, give him a solo, like a 30-second solo while you like tune down or tune up or whatever. Right? And
so much stuff you can do. You can make noise. You can do anything that makes it seem like the show's going on. Anything. I don't care what it is, just do it. You can tell super lame jokes.
Well, you know what, an advice from musician to musician, also talking about like how to structure a set. Make sure that, great advice here, if you have songs that are in the same chord progression, or in the same, not necessarily the same chord progression, but in the same key, those are great to bundle together, because you can take the last note of one of the songs, like bam, and transition into the next one, because you're still in the same key. And that's perfect. That's like a great transition. If you have songs like that, bundle them together.
Exactly. Songs don't have to end, air, next song. If you can transition your songs together to flow, or add anything in between that's going to get them to flow from one into the other, fucking do it.
And if you're in a band like mine where like 80% of the songs are in C major, then do that. It's perfect. It's super easy. That's advice number one. Advice number two, if you have, like, for example, in my band, we go a lot from like regular tuning to drop D tuning. So what we do is that then we put all the songs that are drop D, we put them together in the set list, so that we don't have to fucking drop D, play a song, tune out, play another song, tune in, play a song, right?
Yeah,
bundle them all together, and we usually put them towards the end of the set, so like we play all drop D from there onwards, right? And we don't have to worry about it anymore. So think about that when you're building your set. Okay, these songs are in the same key, so this one and this one are literally the same key and same chord progression, so we can kind of link them up at the end, because the chords at the end just work together. Think about tuning, like, for this song we're going to need an acoustic guitar, and we're going to need another acoustic guitar for this other song, so then put them together so you don't have to go grab this acoustic guitar twice. Right? Think about that. It's not only going to make it more entertaining and flow better, it's going to also make it easier for you. Less room to mess up, less room for something to go wrong. The more you're changing, the more opportunities there are for something to go wrong. So you want to make sure you're minimizing that.
Yeah, definitely. Until you can afford to have a tech just like run out to you,
your guitar tech,
up and unstrap you.
Okay, so last pillar here: audience participation and talking to the crowd. That's a big one, in my opinion. I personally, and okay, this might be a little bit more like a taste basis. But I personally hate a band that go, especially when they're like not well known, that goes on stage, plays, gets off, didn't say a single word. I personally hate that. But I know there's some people who are into that. But I think I dislike it the most when it's an artist that it's not well known, because that was a dead opportunity to introduce yourself as a person.
And like connect like
connect
a fucking
people.
human being.
Yeah. I find it kind of pretentious too.
It is pretentious.
Yeah.
It's super pretentious.
Yeah, and I know it rubs a lot of people off the wrong way.
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
Oh, they just got on there, played their songs and left. They didn't do anything.
It's like, what if I loved you, and what if I wanted to know your name? And then that mentality is like, well, then you'll find out if you loved us. It's like, actually, no. You just made my life that much more difficult than it needed to be. So you suck.
Yeah,
and I hate
talk
you.
to people, introduce your band, tell them like where you're from and all that kind of stuff.
At least say thank you.
Say thank you. Yeah. Doesn't kill you to say thank you. You know, if you're playing, say, in Toronto and you're a band from Mississauga, be like, we're from Mississauga. Anyone here from Mississauga? Woo! Yeah, rep it. Ah! It's cool, right? Instead of being like, we're from Mississauga. Okay, cool. You know what I mean? Make it into like a cool thing. And then like just or if no one says, we're from Mississauga, anyone here from Mississauga? No one says anything. It's like, oh, that's funny, and like because we are from, because you know you can make a joke about no one from Mississauga being there. You can, I guess 40 minutes is too far, or something like that, right?
Yeah.
There's ways that you can spin it and talk to the people. I don't know, like I guess at me, like I grew up listening to Blink-182, right? So talking to the crowd is a big part, right?
Really?
No, what? I'm wearing a Blink-182 t-shirt right now. That's a joke.
The Blink and Weezer references as you sit here in your Blink-182 t-shirt with your Weezer tattoo.
Right? And like, I find that artist participation cool. Even if you're just being like, hey, ho, you're moving your hand, asking them to clap, whatever you can do, or telling them like, oh, the song is really fast, make sure to open up a mosh pit or something like that. Whatever you can do to make it more engaging, awesome. Big thing, by the way, big tip. If your band has a long or complicated name, number one, say it slowly while you're on stage. Don't be like, you're the what? Right? Second of all, if you can, get like a little poster or flag or something with your band name on stage. Because most people are too drunk anyway. And the more people can just read your band name, the more they will remember it. Right? A little banner that just says, we are the potato salads. Now, no one will forget that you're the potato salads. Even if you go like, we're the potato salads. What? Most venues don't even have good sound anyway, right? So, like, you want to make sure that you can at least be like, hey, we're the potato salads. Oh, okay, that's what they are.
Are you hungry? You're making me hungry now.
A cold potato salad?
Oh.
Nice.
Anything cold. Anything with potatoes. Salads are good, too.
And audience participation doesn't have to end when your performance
ends. Dismisses my food talk. Love it.
Gotta keep it rolling. Gotta keep the show must go on. The show must go on.
I'm starving.
I'm a big fan of like when your performance stops, handing out like little cards or something, or a free sticker or something. Because at worst, they're gonna throw it away. At best, they're gonna keep it. They're gonna check you out. They're gonna like do something about it. I've done that with like stickers, little cards with presentations. I've done it with coasters, like stuff that just people will kind of, a little gift, that's cool. I found coasters really effective. Everyone that I've given a coaster to has been like, oh yeah, I just have it laying around the house and I look at it from time to time. It's like, okay, that's cool. So do I. Keeps it in like in your mind, right? And then like, or handing out a little card with a download code, maybe for a single or something, or I don't know, whatever. I was gonna say something really old school. I was gonna say a wallpaper, a ringtone.
Oh my god.
Here, you can download a ringtone and wallpaper for your iPhone.
What century are we in right now? Is that why you don't have air conditioning?
1995.
Do people even download music anymore?
I don't.
Neither do I. No.
I used to. I actually got rid of my MP3 collection because, like, I was like, I never used it ever since I moved to streaming. It had been like 2 or 3 years where I literally never went into my MP3 folder and looked at like try to play an MP3. So I was like. I just deleted it. Fuck it.
I don't at all either.
Yeah, that's.
I don't even own a CD player.
Huh?
I don't even own a CD player.
Yeah, you do. But all it does is play the White Album.
Huh?
Oh no, that's sad. or is it yours?
No,
your
no,
car?
it's mine. Yeah. No, it's my mom's car, right?
Oh, yeah.
So
All it
it's
does
like
is
when
play
I
the White Album.
when I borrow her car.
Oh yeah.
That's it.
Well, I do have a CD player right there, but I don't ever. I just use it with a Chromecast, so I just stream to it. I actually don't put CDs in it anymore. You actually can't because it opens that way and it hits my furniture. Anyway, yeah, CDs are dead. We should have an episode about that at one point. Is it even
About
worth giving out a
physical?
free download of your album if no one
free
is doing it?
downloads, yeah.
Probably not. But you can be like, hey, we're on Spotify. We're here because like most people might not even know that you're on Spotify.
Well, I guess some people still do. Like, I guess Apple users.
They have Apple
their
Music.
iPods and stuff. I
Their
don't know.
weird stuff.
I don't know. It's just-
Whatever Apple Music, whatever Apple users are up to
Download
nowadays, them and their weird fetishes.
all those weird hipsters who like buy vinyls and then they have download codes and then they download them to their iPods.
You can do vinyl. I think like even doing vinyl is better. It's a better idea than doing CDs nowadays, in my opinion. At least you can sell them for a larger margin, and there's more people who are into that.
Yep.
But yeah, anyway, going back to this. At the end of the show, if you have a free gift, something that you can give away, a little card that just says we're on Spotify. If you liked our songs, here's our social media. And just spend like 30 seconds to a minute talking to people. Just being like, hey guys, I hope you enjoyed the show. It's like, oh yeah, we liked it. Oh, fun, cool. Here's a little card. If you can check us out, that would be great. If not, that's whatever. Hope you had fun. There's another band coming up. You should totally check them. And just socialize with people. Network. Literally networking. I see a lot of people who like bands that what they do, they play their show, they wrap up their instruments, they go directly to the bar, and then they just sit there for the rest of the show, or leave. They either leave or sit at the bar and drink all night. It's like, but why don't you go out and talk to the people who just watched you, the people who are like stoked about. You can tell when you're playing who in the crowd is having a good time.
Yeah.
After the show, go to those people and tell them, hey, I hope you liked it. You can tell people are smiling and while looking at you, they're having a good time, right? Pick those people out in the crowd, and then after the show, go and spend some time with them and create an even like a stronger bond, right?
Definitely. And you know, it's a lot of, and I've talked to artists about this directly one-on-one, and they don't feel comfortable doing that. It takes a certain type of personality. Well, find the guy in your band
That can do it.
who does have that personality, or even if it's like your merch person, like get them to talk. Like find one person in your band who's sociable.
Yeah.
And if you're all antisocial, well then I don't even know what to tell you, but try and be sociable.
Yeah,
Just
hire a guy who's sociable.
Try and be sociable. Hire a guy hire a hype man.
Yeah. Basically.
Get a hype man.
Basically. I think it can be hard to be sociable, but I guess have a beer or two until you are, and then like you can strike up a conversation with people. It's a good skill to have anyone in the music world anyway. Like
It's a good skill to have in the world, period.
Yeah, being able to break out of your shell and network and reach out to people and say like, hey, what's up? And just start talking out of the gate. A great way to that's how you and I met. You basically snuck to like backstage at Strandfest and we're like, hey, what's up?
Oh yeah.
Right? And just started networking.
I think
and
I
that's
got
how we
shit
met.
for that.
Huh?
Yeah, someone came up and like told me I wasn't allowed to be up in the green room. Was that you?
Really?
I think I was looking for you, but somebody else came
They probably
up.
were looking for me because you needed anyway.
I just remember like being up there
And
and being
someone
told
being
that I
like-
couldn't be there unless I was in the band. I'm like, but I booked 2 of the bands on this show. Where's Martin?
Can someone
that's
get
how
me
we met.
Martin?
It wasn't you, yeah, because you were the only person I knew
Oh my
whose
gosh.
name I knew through Sagiv.
That's hilarious. That's
Yeah.
super funny. But yeah, see, like networking can give you huge opportunities, can result in huge opportunities. So
Yeah.
make sure to do that.
Be friendly. Make an appearance.
Audience participation is great. Talk to the audience. Make it a fun game. Make it cool. Make it entertaining. Make it simple. Make sure that when you say your band name, you say it slowly and clearly. If you can have a banner, do that.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to the people after the show. Talk to the venue owners. Talk to the sound guy. Say thanks. Be a cool person.
Yeah.
Talk to the other bands. Always be grateful.
But when it comes to the performance, plan and rehearse. Don't just go into the jam room and play the songs you already know how to play 10 times over and waste your time. You also won't go on stage and do choreography or cool transitions or anything that's outside of the scope of the songs you already know how to play without rehearsing them, because you wouldn't go on and play a song that you don't know how to play
Yeah.
without rehearsing it
Yeah.
first. So, or a new song without
You
rehearsing it.
You should
Plan it.
100% say, okay, our set is 30 minutes. right now, let's pretend we're on stage. Like, we're at the show.
Exactly.
And then you start the clock.
From the very beginning.
And
Exactly.
It's like, go from everything. From like, hey, we are the potato salads. This is like from Toronto. 1, 2, 3, 4. Bah, 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 bah. Like, literally as if you're on stage.
Yeah, absolutely.
Go
Time
through
it
it.
out. Plan it and write that shit down. Don't just write a set list. First, start with your set list. Think about every single song. Think about which song you can start with, which song you're going to end with, how the songs are going to transition into each other. Make sure that you're starting high, going higher, coming back down to a valley, back up. It's all about peaks and valleys when it comes to your set list. All the transitions, all the cool stuff, any types of props, anything that you're going to do. Think about all of that shit. Write it all down. Then practice it. Make sure that you're within your set limit times. And then rehearse it. Rehearse it. Play it live. See if it works. Course correct. Just think about it. Like, actually put some effort into it. That's what a real performance is. Period.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't take that long. Like, I've done sessions with 3 different artists now where we've managed to capture and execute a perfect set list in 4 hours of practice. That's it. That's all it takes.
Film yourself, film your band playing with your phone, whatever, and review it. Take it home that night and say like, hey, I really like this, or like, actually, I think that there's an opportunity here for all of us to like headbang at the same time, or these 2 songs actually sound sick one after the other. Let's do that instead, right?
Exactly.
Play around with it. There's no reason why not, right?
Exactly.
I think that's pretty much it. Let's wrap it up. I think that's a good episode. I think that the whole lesson here is just keep it interesting. We're all fighting for attention, right? At the end of the day, like when you're a performing artist performing out there, and you're not gonna be even the only band in the bill. So at least you should strive to be the most interesting one in the bill, at least, right?
Yeah, and by most interesting, most natural.
Yeah.
Basically, don't be lazy. Don't be lame.
Yeah.
Don't be unrealistic.
And be cool. Don't be a dick.
Don't be a dick.
Fun story. I'm just going to wrap it up the show. Backstory is playing a show in Toronto, middle of tour, whatever. We're playing this tiny venue. And, when they build group chats with all the bands for the gear share. For every band to be like, I can bring a bass amp, we can bring the drums, we can bring a guitar amp. And this guy is like, I can bring a bass amp from band number 1, let's say. I can bring a bass amp, here are the specs. Bass player from band number 2 is like, is it this wattage or this other wattage? And bass player from band number 1 is like, hey, I actually don't know. I think it's like this much. Bass player from band number 2 is like, how do you call yourself a bassist? I don't know the wattage or your amp. What are you, a fucking idiot? And like, he just goes ham on this kid. Ooh. And I'm like, who mama? Like, who is this asshole? It was so bad that he quit. He rage quit the group. He didn't get kicked out. He rage quit the group. And then the lead singer of the band had to come in and say, I just want to apologize for our bass player. He's really hot-headed. Motherfucker, just kick him out of the band. He's not doing you any favors. He's not that even that good. He can't be that good at bass. Kick him out of the band. Don't be a dick. If you have someone in your band who's a dick to everyone and like he's just bringing you trouble, kick him out. It's going to do you a million favors. It's going to do you so much better. Don't be a dick to people.
Yep. Oh, been there.
Yeah.
Been there.
Everyone thinks they're a rock star.
Yeah.
It's another one, just because we're in the little stints of stories. Went to a house party, met this guy, and of course he knew he knew me through some Strandfest stuff apparently. And he's like, you should really check out my band and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, you know what? He's friendly enough. I'll check out his band. And I was like, okay, cool. Check it out once I'm home. And then he's like, 5 minutes after, he starts just shit talking all of his bandmates. It's like, my guitar player is so lazy. My bass player, she's so emotional. And you know how women are. And I'm like, oh my God, this gigantic dick. Like, when he started, trash talking all his bandmates, it's like, I'm not, first of all, this conversation is done. Second of all, I'm never going to check out your band. Like, why would I? And it's like, don't be a dick. Don't be a dick. No. That's all I'm asking for. Don't be an asshole.
No.
That's
so terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, that's it's like, it's so crazy. I say being in a band is like being in a marriage. It's like a family relationship because you're so close. Like it's such an emotional thing to make music together. And then there's the whole business aspect of it. Like it really does resemble like an intimate relationship. Yeah. If you're going to be talking shit, it's like, could you imagine like if someone was like super talking shit their husband or wife or
that would
kids?
Be so awkward.
It's terrible.
It's so
like,
bad.
If you would, it just doesn't make that.
Just
don't do it. Just don't do it. Don't be in that relationship. Don't marry those artists.
Be nice.
If you're going to talk shit about them, you don't deserve to be in a band. If you're going to be a shit talker,
you're obviously unhappy in that band. Just quit.
Yeah, it's like this industry is one of the most
cutthroat,
destabilizing industries ever. It is so up and down. It is so volatile. It is so insane. There's no stability. There's no security. You never know what's going to work and what's not going to work. It's hard enough. You need to be seriously emotionally stable to deal with this shit, man. Like I've seen it. I've been there. I've been a victim of it. Overcome it. There's been so much shit that I've seen. I've seen people fall victim to it. I've seen people become addicts because of it. I've seen so much shit that this industry
friendships fall apart.
Friendships fall apart, marriages have fallen apart, like so much shit that I've seen.
I love drama, so I'm like,
fall apart. It just like you're clipping again. This is the clipping episode. Yeah, it's really, this is like totally off topic of what this episode is all about. But seriously, if you are emotionally unstable and you think things are going to stabilize and just like work themselves out, but you're already like talking shit about your band or one of your band members are like totally volatile and toxic, dude, I'm telling you, just get the fuck out now.
Yeah. No, I've been in bands where we've kicked out members because it's like, it's not going to work, man.
Yeah.
Like you're always a bummer. You're never like...
Yeah.
You're always the one butting heads with everyone. Like,
yeah. And it sucks. It sucks, but
yeah, we love you, but the typical, we love you, but
yeah. That's the thing. It's like it really is like relationships. Like when you're in a relationship and you really love someone so much, but it's just impossible to deal with them.
If it doesn't
work,
it doesn't
change it. It just doesn't work. It doesn't mean you don't love them, doesn't mean that they're not lovable. It just means it's not going to work. And it's the exact same thing with a band.
We should have an episode about like band lineups. When's the right time to get someone in new, add someone, remove someone from the band?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of that is really subjective, but then again, so is everything that we talk about.
We would basically be giving relationship advice at that point.
Dear Offstage.
The Offstage dating podcast. Anyway, band dating. Anyway, I think we've gone long enough. Thank you very much for listening. To this episode of the Offstage podcast. As you know, our next episode is going to be our season finale. So make sure to send in your questions about anything. Maybe your bass player is a dick and you want to be like, how do I let him know that he's being a dick?
Let us do it for you.
Yeah, we can help you out and we can do it live on air. So when he's listening to the episode, he's like, shit, I'm a dick? So send in your questions. We're going to be putting up a call on social media. It's going to be fun. We're going to wrap it up. Then we're going to come back better than ever in season 2. We have really cool plans for season 2. Should be a killer.
We do. We do.
Yeah, AC being the first one. We're going to have some air conditioning. It's going to be great. No, but we do have really cool ideas for season 2. It's going to be fun. We will see you on the next episode. Make sure to put in your questions. We're at the Offstage on every single social media channel. We put out episodes every other Tuesday. There's quite a bit of backlog at this point. Make sure to check all those episodes out. And that's it for me.
You're so good at this stuff.
Like, comment, and subscribe. I'm kidding. Bye.
Bye.